Tämä on teitä Radio Robin Hoodi.
Welcome, this is Ahmed Zaidan from Radio Robin Hood, greeting you and presenting this new Spoido Viralla Marla multilingual writers group. And our guest today is Esa Hirvonen. Esa, welcome to our show.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit brief about yourself?
Well, I'm a poet living in Turku. I have published 3 books in Finland and 1 in England. My poems has been translated to 10 different languages like English, German, Estonian, Udmurtian, Romanian, Slovenian, and so on.
Interesting. Can you tell us about your role in Viralla Marla?
I was there translating Ainhoa Gonzalez and Shahla Esadi's poems from Spanish and Farsi languages, and I was asked to that project. Well, because I know Maria Mäenpää, the group leader there, whose idea it was originally to do that, but also because I have experience of different kind of translation techniques. Not like there is a translator and a book for words and you work alone, but I have been in kind of workshops of translation. I was in Slovenia in a workshop that we all people from different countries, different languages, we had a couple of translations to English, which was a common language, and with the English translation and the poet and the translator, we were all poets actually, but we were translating each other to the different languages, and we talk about this English translation and then find a word to the Slovenian. And that's actually the same way that we worked in Viralla Marla. We very much talked about meanings, and if we didn't find it by talking, we used internet to find, for example, there was flower that is not growing in Finland. It's only in the Middle East area, and we didn't find the name. So by talking, we find the picture from the internet, and then I knew what's the flower.
So these cultural problems have been identified throughout your process of translation.
Yeah, there are a lot of things. There are even some things that don't have actual translation word in.
And how do you manage it?
To find something similar. To find something that keeps the meaning, because we in very many things that are a concrete flower or a concrete part of building or stuff like that. It's more like metaphor in poetry. I think it's good translation if you can find a similar metaphor in Finnish language, even if the actual meaning is different.
So how many poets in total that you're working with in Viralla Marla?
2.
2 poets.
2.
One from Spain and another?
From Iran, from Persia.
Which is more interested to translate for you personally as a poet?
I think it's very hard to say, because there are different things.
So which is more difficult? Which is the text, the Iranian text or the Spanish text has more cultural problems that you have to sort out?
Yeah, of course, Persian text. It was quite difficult. Even it was kind of modern poetry, which I also write, but the pictures and the views and the meanings were so different, and we didn't spoke same language.
To what extent do you consider yourself? Do you deem yourself as faithful with the translation, with conveying the meaning from the original text to targeted or to targeted language?
Yeah, I want to be.
Are you?
Sometimes not, because like I said before, there are some things that that words actually mean different thing than they mean in normal language, and that's poetry. And if you can find same meaning and the same feeling with a different word, with a different term, I think you can use it, and you be still kind of faithful, not to a word. Words are just abstracts. They are non-exist. Where you should really have to be faithful to the poet and her or his voice, not to the words.
Great.
Yeah.
To what extent do you think that poetry is important from other culture to be conveyed, to be translated into Finnish language in order to create a kind of understanding in the society? What's the importance of that?
Yeah, it is. It is very important, even though not so many people are reading poetry anymore. And
do you mean that poetry? Do you mean a Finnish poetry or poetry in general?
I mean the poetry readers in Finland. Kind of, if you are building a bridge between cultures, we poets, I think we are in every country. We are kind of an own underculture, kind of, and we are connected.
In which way?
In that way that whatever language, culture you think, and then you think all the poets in the world. In many times we have more common things between poets from different culture than the people inside of the same culture and same society. I think it's writing poetry makes you think kind of harder and to find answers for the big questions and stuff like that. And if you do that till the end, you and try to impress that feeling that what you think is precious in life, in your poetry. You have to do the same things in your mind, same kind of thinking, whatever the culture around you is. And that's how I think it's quite easy for poets to interact and connect to each other.
Can you tell us about performing? And I have attended some of your shows and have really seen that you are a good performer. poet. So how do you train the new poets to be performed like in a specific way, to give them, every poet has to have his own specialty?
Yeah, have to just practice. I think that's the most important thing, and kind of go there out on the stage.
What are the obstacles that when you are on the stage that the poet, or not the very experienced poet, the new poet, like experience?
Yeah, you have to take a risk. It's always a risk when you are beginning. Yeah, you have to face audience, and you have to kind of get. I think it's okay to be a little bit afraid. You can get more kick off it. Yeah.
Is it important to be different? To be possessing your own specialty, your own style, to present who you are?
Yeah, I think everybody has that, and it's not even that kind of thing that you can teach. What you can teach is to notice that thing, that there is what makes a difference, what makes it better, what makes it more original. And when you have seen thousands of poetry performance, you have kind of eye for that. That there is the thing that if you develop this,
you find yourself among those thousands of
I don't think there is not much kind of things that you can tell, like the same thing to everyone. Use your voice like this. Yeah. Don't come too near to the microphone.
Well, this is what I've seen when I saw you in IDU performing in one of your events.
Yeah, and one of the important things is also to see poetry gigs whenever you have a possibility, and because you learn from the others things that I can do in my throat. I have learned. Not from a teacher, but not a poet. I have been performing with Kev Howard, Aapo Ilves, and they really know the secrets of the throat singing. They have not teach it to me. I'm just listening and watching them and doing the same things. Actually, I'm not a very good singer, but. I can use the effects in my poetry, and then some other ones like Dirk Huelstrom from Germany, a sound poet. Also great for using sound effects. And
what is the trade? What is the atmosphere you try to create when you use your throat in this way?
Kind of instant feeling. The feeling of the Stone Age or something like that, and kind of very primitive feelings, and also.
And there is a relationship between the text and performance.
Yep. Yeah, there is always.
Always.
Yeah.
And do you prepare like every time for this text I have to perform in let's say Stone Age style, and this text I have to be so modern, or this text I have to recite it like with the music?
Yeah, I know. But sometimes I don't know what I do when I go on a stage, and that's the one of the beautiful moments of with improvising with the musicians. It's fun form of poetry also. You don't have to decide the text before. You can also ask musicians to make a sound, and then react to the sound. Okay, I take this poem, but I cannot read it like it's in the book. I change it a little bit and, react to the rudiment and sounds.
What are the most basic things in writing poetry for the newcomers who want to be engaged into the new society, cultural society? So what is the most basic thing that you as a poet you should do with them?
I'm not sure if I understand that question right.
I meant in other words, like what is the most basic thing that should be done with the poets of immigrants' background in order to put them, to interact them into the new society?
Just get them together with the local poets. It's so easy, but it's not so easy if there is no kind of a places and culture for that, which we are now creating that kind of happenings and atmosphere and stuff like that everyone have welcome and get involved in poetry society just to come there. Anklat, first time nobody knew anything about him. He was not involved in a Vieralla Maala project. He came to Turku later. He just came to open mic happening, and we were like, hey, this is a good poetry. We have to ask these guys email address and invite him somewhere. That's how it works, but it needs that the information is somewhere available. That the poets coming to Finland from other countries know where to meet another poets.
So, we got a question. So, if you want to add something to explain about especially Vieralla Maala process of a translation, because we have like 3 minutes before we.
Yeah. Okay, we were also involved in one kind of art giants festival, which we make a demonstration of a live translation in the front of the public. There was Juha Kulmala, who was kind of explaining to the audience what is happening. And then there was me and Chahla Esadi and her son, who is a ship engineer, was kind of culture translator between us, because we didn't have very much common language, only a couple of words in English and Finnish. So her son was translating us that what we are speaking to each others, and we had a poem that has not been translated yet, and we had half an hour time, and the audience waiting what is happening. Can they do this or not?
In a brief, because we don't have so much time, how do you define poetry? Your special definition of poetry.
Poetry is about feelings, it's about heritage, it's about wisdom, it's about truth.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Esa Hirvonen.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I have to thank also the audience. Thank you for listening. This is Ahmed Zaidan greeting you from city of Turku in Finland, Radio Robin Hood. Goodbye.